This is my WWE TLC 2011 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view from off there. And as far as this show from WWE, I got to say this was a really good pay-per-view from them. You could arguably say this is one of their best shows of this year. You had a really good undercard for this and a number of memorable things on here, especially with Daniel Bryan cashing in the Money in the Bank to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. That was definitely one of the best moments of the night. You had a really good opener with Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder. And the main event was really good as well with the Triple Threat TLC match. And with this pay-per-view, really the only thing that was bad was probably the women's match and one other match that got added to the last minute, which was Jack Swagger and Sheamus. Those two are the only things that were really bad on here. The chairs match with Mark Henry and Big Show was what it was. You knew you weren't going to get much from it. And the post-match stuff with Daniel Bryan cashing in the Money in the Bank, that kind of helped it and at least made the match okay from what it was. And actually, it wasn't a terrible match. It was at least watchable. So let me get into my review. The first matchup was Dolph Ziggler versus Zack Ryder for the United States title. Really good opener. The crowd was really into this. Obviously, Zack Ryder is really over. Probably one of WWE's most over wrestlers right now. And they've been building him up winning the U.S. title, and you knew he was going to win it here because they've been building it up, and especially they did the way that he had to get in this match with basically Cena giving up his pay-per-view spot, so you knew he was going to win it there, but really good match here, a lot of good back-and-forth action. These two really work very well with each other, and Zack Ryder wins with hitting the Rough Rider in this match, and really good opener, winning the U.S. title, and about a 3.5-star match. And the next matchup was Air Boom versus Primo and Epicho for the tag team titles. This was a pretty good tag match. Really, the only bad parts of this match was probably when Primo's cousin Epicho had the offense in there. He's definitely really green in the ring. I actually don't mind Primo, and obviously with Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston, they really helped the match out a lot. And it was a fairly good tag match. You saw a lot of good things from Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne in this match. And thankfully, they do keep a hold of the tag team titles because I really thought that they might have lost it here considering, Evan Bourne's been out of action due to suspension. I thought they might have punished them and made them lose the tag titles here. Thankfully, that didn't happen. So Air Boom does retain the tag team titles with Kofi Kingston hitting the Trouble in Paradise on Epicho in this match. And a really good tag match, 3 stars. And the next matchup was Randy Orton versus Wade Barrett in a tables match. Now, this match really surprised me because I was not expecting that much from it. I was expecting just a really boring and dull match and nothing good at all. Actually turned out a whole lot better than what I was expecting. Really entertaining match. And a really good ending to the match as well. Randy Orton wins this match with RKO through the table. Towards the end of the match, Randy Orton was laid face first onto a table. Wade Barrett was going to the top, do a splash or something off the top rope to win the match. Orton got up out of the way, hit a RKO, and that's how Orton won this tables match. So really good match there, and really surprised me how good it was because I was not expecting much from Orton and Wade Barrett in a tables match there. Fairly good match. I would probably give it 3 1/4 stars. Then the next matchup, this is the first match of the evening that wasn't good at all, and it's the women's match. So that's the one thing on there that's pretty much most of the time in WWE, especially WWE, because it's pretty much the piss break of the evening for the most part. So some people probably won't even really count this match even being a match on the pay-per-view that much, but just was Beth Phoenix versus Kelly Kelly for the Divas title. Thankfully, the only good thing out of this, Beth Phoenix did retain the title. They played off that Kelly Kelly was going to win this because Beth Phoenix was going for the Glam Slam, and Kelly Kelly rolled through, and I was like, God damn, I hope she doesn't win here. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and Beth Phoenix does retain the title. 1-star match, just your typical Divas match in WWE. Then the next matchup, well, they were going to do this match here, but they did it later on in the evening. It was Booker T and Cody Rhodes was going to happen here, but it didn't take place here. Earlier, probably like after the first or second match, they did a backstage segment with Cody Rhodes taking out Booker T, looking like, the match Cody Rhodes was not going to have to take on Booker T, and the match was going to take place. Then Booker T came out here. Cody Rhodes attacked him from behind. So it looks like, maybe they're just cutting the match on here and just doing this and going to do it at the next pay-per-view. But later on in the evening, they did do the Booker T and Cody Rhodes match, which when I do get my thoughts on that, Booker T actually did look like he actually still has it in the ring. So it's good seeing Booker back in the ring later on. So the next matchup was, this was probably the biggest shocker of the night because I think everyone was expecting this to be a god-awful, probably almost as bad as, your WWE Divas match. This was Kevin Nash versus Triple H in the ladder match with, the sledgehammer hanging above the ring. I think most people thought Triple H and Kevin Nash in a ladder match just sounded like an awful idea. They actually played it off fairly well because that neither one of them really climbed the ladder much. Triple H got up there, I think, twice. One time he got taken off the ladder, and the second time was obviously when he won. Nash only got up there once, and I was really shocked to see him take the bump towards the end of the match. He did there, but they did a lot of stuff with the ladders, using them as weapons. They did stuff outside the ring. It was a really good match, I thought, with Triple H and Kevin Nash. A whole lot better than I was expecting, because I was expecting a really terrible match, and actually turned out to be a fairly, above average match, actually close to a good match with these two. And the end of the match comes when Triple H and Nash are on the ladder. There's a table below, and you're thinking, okay, Nash is not going to take this bump, so most people thought maybe Triple H is, but they're a little too far away from that spot, so Nash was the one that actually did take the bump. Nash took a bump off ladder through the table. Didn't expect Nash to do that in this match, and Triple H gets the sledgehammer down, and then he keeps repeatedly hitting Kevin Nash with it. Then he hits the pedigree. The first time he does it, I think, Nash looked like he was trying to basically get out of it, so he fell down. Then he hit it. Then he ended up hitting the pedigree, and he ends the match with picking up the sledgehammer. Kevin Nash was not wanting him to do this. He put up the Wolfpack sign, and then Triple H, did the DX suck it sign, and then hit him with the sledgehammer for the win. So Triple H wins this match, and a whole lot better match than what I was expecting. I would even give this match. I would probably give this match about 2 and 3/4 stars, maybe even 3-star match. It's actually a fairly good match with these two, especially since my expectations were so low. That probably even makes me kind of enjoy the match a little more. So that was probably the hugest shocker of the night, was that match actually turning out not to be terrible. Then the next matchup was, this match was a match that just got added at the last minute. This was Jack Swagger versus Sheamus. They were backstage with Teddy Long, and Jack Swagger came in there and saying, he's not in the match and something. Then Sheamus comes in there and it gets added. This was just a terrible match with Jack Swagger and Sheamus. Not good at all. This was just a match that got added at the last minute just to cut some time for the pay-per-view, and even this match right here, even if it was on free television, it would even be classified as a bad match. It just wasn't good at all, and it just dragged on. I know it probably didn't get as much time as what I felt it did, but it was one of those matches dragged on. You just couldn't wait for it to end. And Sheamus wins the match with the bro kick, and I would say about 1.5 stars at best. Other than the women's match on here is probably one of the worst matches on here. This and the women's match were really the only things that were terrible on here. Then the next matchup was Big Show versus Mark Henry in the chairs match. Back, when they done this match before, the chairs match gimmick on a TLC pay-per-view, I always, rail against it. I just think this is an idiotic thing. I know, the pay-per-view's TLC, so they have to do a tables match, they have to do a ladders match, and obviously the C and TLC is chairs. So I guess it makes sense them doing, this year it actually did make sense them doing a chairs match, especially with Big Show and Mark Henry for the World Heavyweight Championship, considering both of them been trying to take each other out with the steel chairs, either to the leg or ankle. So it makes perfect sense this time, and it did make sense here. It actually was a fairly watchable match. I'm not going to say it was good. I actually enjoyed their match at Survivor Series. Out of the series of matches they had, that's probably the only one I actually will say I somewhat did enjoy. This is just kind of what you expected with these two. Nothing too special. Big Show actually defeats Mark Henry for the title here with the KO punch. And, looks like, that's something I liked right there. Big Show winning, not Big Show winning the title, but Mark Henry taking the title off of him. So I was pleased just with that right there. But even what happened after it was even better. Mark Henry, attacked Big Show post-match, hit a DDT to a number of chairs. And then Daniel Bryan's music hit. I was excited to hear him coming out. The crowd popped for it. I was not going to get too excited too quick because I was afraid, him coming out there and losing. Thankfully, that didn't happen. When he won the title, I got excited, and definitely the best moment of the night was Daniel Bryan cashing in his Money in the Bank and becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. As far as the Big Show and Mark Henry match, I'll probably give it, 1 and 3/4 stars, maybe a 2-star match, because like I said, it was at least watchable, and obviously the post-match stuff with Daniel Bryan, that even made the match a little better, even though I know that's not a part of the match. It just at least made the match seem a little more tolerable happening since, Daniel Bryan cashed in the Money in the Bank. So I'm glad he did, and I know a lot of people were probably worried, with Daniel Bryan, cashing in the Money in the Bank. A lot of people were thinking he would be the first one to lose when he cashes it in. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Just a great moment with Daniel Bryan becoming champion, and that's another good thing. Not only was this a good pay-per-view to end the year, Daniel Bryan on the last pay-per-view of the year wins the World Heavyweight Championship, so a great moment right there. Then the next matchup was the Cody Rhodes and Booker T match. This is actually when it did take place. Booker T basically comes out there saying he doesn't want to end like this. He wants to come out there and actually have the match against Cody Rhodes. And I got to say, Booker T actually looked very good in this match. He definitely still has it. Him and Cody Rhodes had a fairly good match. Not a great match, but it was basically kind of what you would expect with these two. With Cody Rhodes and Booker T. And Booker T actually, like I said, looked very, very good in here. The crowd loved seeing Booker T back in the ring. Booker T was really over with the crowd here. Obviously showing, Cody Rhodes is doing very good as a heel. You saw some good back and forth action. And obviously with this being the Intercontinental Championship match, I think everyone knew that this was basically just, getting Booker T back in the ring and just take on Cody Rhodes, him kind of putting over Cody Rhodes. I don't think anybody was really thinking he was going to win the IC title, and thankfully that didn't happen, and Cody Rhodes does retain the IC Championship. And a fairly good match with Booker T, and like I said, he looked like he still has in the ring. And I wouldn't mind, him maybe not being a full-time wrestler in WWE, but at least have him wrestle from time to time because he still has it in the ring. He can still go, and obviously the crowd's really into him, so you should use him. Obviously, he's probably not going to want to work the WWE schedule as far as working in the ring every night, but it'd be a good attraction to see from time to time. And him and Cody Rhodes had a fairly good match. I would say about 2.5 stars. It was good. It was pretty good, and good to see Booker back in the ring. Then the main event was the TLC match for the WWE Championship with Alberto Del Rio versus The Miz versus CM Punk. This match was really good. Definitely, I would say the best match of the night was this main event for the WWE Championship. Saw a number of good things here. Saw CM Punk go through the table in here. The oh my god moment of this match, or holy shit moment, was actually not even a bump that was taken by any of the wrestlers. It was taken by Alberto Del Rio's manager, Ricardo Rodriguez. He came in there at one point in the match. He was climbing up the ladder, and Miz and CM Punk pick up the ladder, and he falls back into falls back out of the ring onto a table, and that was a sick bump he took right there. Obviously, he'll probably be out of action for a little while here, or at least Celta would be out of action for a little while. But if he didn't injure himself here, I would be really shocked, because he just he hit the second table. He didn't hit the first table that was out there in front of him, but it was definitely a sick bump right there. They did a number before that. They did stuff with Ricardo Rodriguez. He came in there. He was handcuffing CM Punk to the ladder so CM Punk couldn't climb it up. CM Punk broke loose of that. Then they did the same spot towards the end with the Miz handcuffing CM Punk to the second rope. The second rope, he broke loose of that, broke the rope. Then, at the end of the match, you saw CM Punk hit the go to sleep onto the Miz, climbs up the ladder. Alberto Del Rio is already laid out. CM Punk retains the title. Really good TLC match. I know some people might have wanted a little more with the match, but they did do a number of bumps. CM Punk doing a table spot from the top rope to a table outside the ring. The Ricardo Rodriguez spot was crazy. Alberto Del Rio did a few things well, and you saw a number of good things with all of them. And I thought they doing the thing with the handcuffs was good as well. So this was a really good TLC match. I was expecting maybe just a little more from it, but it was still a good match. I just I was kind of expecting a great match. And I just got, you know, good to very good match. So, but that's not really saying anything bad about it. It was still a good main event. And glad CM Punk retained. So now in WWE, you got two former Ring of Honor stars, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, as your world champion. And never would have thought in WWE I would be seeing CM Punk and Daniel Bryan on the two opposite shows as world champions. So that's great right there. And the match-wise, I would give it, you know, 3.5 stars, 3 3/4 stars. Definitely the best match of the night. And this show, I would definitely recommend people to go out their way to check out. Because like I said, the only things that were really bad on here was the women's match, which is kind of expected a lot of times with WWE, and the Sheamus and Zack Ryder, Sheamus and Jack Swagger match. That was really the only two bad things on here. Like I said, the Mark Henry and Big Show match, considering, you know, the stuff with Daniel Bryan cashing the Money in the Bank, made the match more tolerable than what it was, and it was at least watchable. And you saw a pretty good undercard. The opening match with Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder was very good, probably, other than the main event, probably the second best match of the night. So definitely tell people to check this show out. I would give this show overall, you know, maybe 8.25 out of 10. Definitely one of WWE's best shows of the year. All right, peace.